Hello, this short presentation is about writing up your dissertation, and the, this one is prepared for either undergraduate or postgraduate who have done their research and then trying to put all together the information, data, calculation, findings, all things into this written document. Now, you have to keep in mind that the dissertation will be the only media for you to communicate with your readers. Now, who are your readers? You have to be very clear whom you are writing this dissertation for. Obviously, you write to your supervisor. This is not, this is right, but not exactly correct. Actually, you are writing this to your colleagues who have the same education background, who have very similar knowledge, working in the same field. What they are different from you is they haven't done this specific research. So therefore, you don't have to talk too much those fundamental common sense issues. So you can go straight into what you have been doing. Right. First of all, let's look at this traditional structure of a dissertation. This is very similar to any scientific papers. The purpose of this is to communicate your research effectively and efficiently. For that purpose, actually, the writing style has to be concise, logical, clear, and so on. For that purpose, therefore, we have all these basic elements. Number one, obviously, is a content page. This is like a guide to show your reader how where those chapters are on those pages. So they can find one of those very easily. And just imagine someone won't be able to find a big chunk of time to finish reading from first page to the end. And if they do this section by section, so that content page will act as a guide. Then the first one will be summary. Summary is very similar to abstract. It presents the most important information. What you want to say in one or two or three sentences after you have done this research. You speak them here. That can include why you want to do it, how you do it, what you have found, why that is important. Then after that, you should have a glossary or terminology or nomenclature. This is where you may use a lot of terminology because, as I said earlier, this is a communication between your colleagues. So therefore, inevitably, you will use a lot of technical terminologies. Some people can think they are jargons. So therefore, here you need some vocabularies, glossary, or nomenclature. Here, nomenclature is essential part for scientific paper, scientific dissertation or thesis, because any scientific report, you will have some kind of formulae or equations. Then, for the sake of clarity, easy to read, so you should have a nomenclature where you have definitions of any variables, symbols, units, and so on. That is again to make it easy for your colleague to read it. Then come to the first chapter, introduction. As the name suggests, this is where you put information to persuade your colleague to read this dissertation or this paper. Why they should read this? Obviously, here you just give some background why you want to do it. The reason attract you to do it might also attract your colleague to read what you have done. Right? Then you also obviously put in some summary of how you did it, how the paper is arranged, how the dissertation is organized, and so on. Then next chapter, literature review. We'll talk about literature review more later. And then for that is a methodology. Sometimes literature review and the methodology are combined together, or literature review is part of chapter 1, introduction. Anyway, the sequence is from introduction, you go to literature review, then methodology. After you have described detailed how you did the job, the next chapter is where you present the data and interpretation and discussion and to draw some conclusions. And the final one, you summarize the conclusion, pointing out further studies. Or if you could do it again, how would you start it again? This is a provide your advice for some other to follow your work, because you have spent good time, good thought, good effort in this area. Obviously, you are the person who are eligible, most eligible, to point out further research direction, and other people can benefit to start from where you finished. Literature review, we have to think why we do it. So the function. Again, literature review is an academic document to communicate with you and your colleagues. And it is structured information about a topic and the relevant subtopics. It is a collection of your critical comments, your critical opinions, right, and judgments on each of those topics. So therefore, you can start from background why and how you do this review, provide some kind of historical background and so on. And also you can add some fundamental basic knowledge here, because if you are doing a degree, so you have studied some topics in your courses. Now the dissertation can well be a new subject which is not covered by old courses you have learned so far. So therefore, you needed to put something here, the new knowledge. But this new knowledge can be old for others. So therefore, you just show some basic information here. This type of message materials can be found from textbooks. Then you have another level, higher level literature you have reviewed. That is to justify your research. Justification comes in two parts. One is to justify this is a new research. This hasn't been done by others so far. At least you can't find any literature in public domain. So it is new. The other one, you have to show it is worthwhile to do it. There are many things haven't been done, and they are not worthwhile to do it, or at this current stage, we can't do it. So basically here, you need to justify why you should do it. The next one you need to justify is the method. You, through a large number of reading of other people's work, and you establish some methods which have been used in the past to complete a valid research, come at valid, robust outcome, and so on. So therefore, you show, right, there are some studies using this method, I can use this method too. So the most important function of this review is to justify your work. First one, justify the need to do it. Justify it is original, nobody has done it. And justify the method being used in this research. And that will lead to your... Now, let's look at what a good literature review should achieve. And I here listed 4, and then importance is increasing from the basic one. The basic one is a good literature review helps our reader to understand what we are doing, and then they will appreciate our work. So therefore, the fundamental things a literature review should achieve is to provide a foundation, a good understanding, a basic knowledge. So therefore, they can go on to see what you have done and appreciate it. The second one is by providing a structural, insight, critical review of all those relevant studies, papers. You actually claim that you are the right person to doing the job because you have a sound understanding of this topic and related ones. You also demonstrated you have a critical insight into the issues, and then you can present a good logical argument. So therefore, there's an addition. You know the methods being applied in those studies and their strengths and the limitations. So all this together showing very clearly you are the right person to do this job. And your credibility is established by a good literature review. Third point this achieves is that a good literature review claims what you are doing is relevant to what is going on in the society, in the scientific community, or in engineering fields. So you present some background, so therefore people know what is going on in the industry or in this field, and what's being solved, what have not been solved. So and what you do is something to fill a gap in the field or a new territory, just attract people's attention, and then you start to explore. So that relates to another one's novelty. Have presented those other studies, comment their strengths and limitations, and then this is the time and the place you pointed out what are those gaps, what are those areas have not been touched, and then next chapter you say those without being studied is exactly what you're going to do. And in introduction chapter, you also pointed out the research aim, and this aim is not covered by other people, other studies, which has been shown by your literature review. So after reading your literature review, people understand there's something not being done, and that is what you want to do. However, to prove something new is really a very hard job. For undergraduate dissertation, we do not ask too much on this side because you have limited experience, you have limited time, so therefore it would be unfair to ask you to prove something you want to do is novel and has not been done in the science or technology, engineering. But this is really what a PhD needs to prove. Okay, finally, a good literature review should prepare all the sources of those work in terms of knowledge, in terms of findings. So therefore, when you present yours, there are some references can be compared, can be referred to, can be taken to help interpret your result, to judge the quality of your work, and so on and so forth. So therefore, good literature review also gather some findings there to be discussed later in your discussion section, where when you interpret your results and you also refer to other people's work at a similar method or to the similar topic, just from the other side, other aspects, and so on. So that is the 4 points a good literature review should achieve. So that is a slide given to someone who starts to do a dissertation project. Literature review should be started at the very beginning. No matter you are joining an existing research team who has done a lot of the similar groundbreaking research and you carry on, or you start on your own by developing your own research topics and develop your own research aims and the methodology and so on. No matter which one you do, you have to start from literature review. In literature review, you have to cover a lot of topics, a lot of areas. So therefore, all the things during your literature review process, they can be very fragmental, they can be widespread. How you organize those materials and present them in an organized, logical way is a big issue. And this is something you have to think about very carefully. Now, let's see this diagram. This is a very good summary of the mind map. This is a mind map showing over a long time period how you develop your ideas, how you gather, organize all the subtopics together. So here you can see you have input, you have behavior, you have calculation, you have a lot of things, and then different color, different line, different shape, all show those, you group those similar things together in groups. And then each one relate to their other ones. And so therefore you start from the objective is to get output at the right hand side. Now to achieve this, you go through all these lines in the middle, and those bullet points, those bubbles, actually showing what what things you need to cover. And then going backwards, you have an initial, very fundamental input from the left hand side. That is a very clear, like map. Is a very clear map to guide your reader to read your dissertation. Obviously, this is something you develop at the very end of your research, unless you have a very thorough understanding of your research. You have done a lot of work, and you've seen it very clearly. You are standing at a very high level, looking down everything, so you will have an overview. So this is to be done at the very end of your research, and you put this into your dissertation to show to your reader, to guide your reader. This is another type of mind map. Actually, this is a structure of neural network, which is very similar to the human being's thinking. So each element on each column actually is affected or is a result of many causes on the column on the left-hand side. For instance, we have object 1, object 2, and then they all resulting the have some results at the second column. The second column becomes cause factors and leads to outcome or effects to the third column, which is the last one. So that shows again how many things you are considering and how the relationship between all of them. Actually, David Hume said that the cause and result relationship is the most important relationship in our life, and it's even more important in your research. Suggestion: how we can present the dissertation in an organized way, make it very easy to read. My suggestion is weave the dissertation using keywords. Keywords are notes, and the clues are the threads. So you weave them together in a net to catch your readers' attention, your readers' reading interest. So this starts from introduction to the conclusion, and give a lot of subtitles for each chapter, and you can have number of levels. Basically, you think about those phrases in those subtitles, and that can help your reader to read through this very easily. And also, you start from some key sentences, deliver the most important message for this paragraph, and then closing sentence to summarize the key issue in that paragraph using keywords. So this is a map. It's a net. So you can see we have colored here 6 keywords. These keywords appear, some of those will surely appear in your title, definitely will appear in your abstract, and they will also appear in your introduction, and they will guide you to do this literature review. You organize a literature review to cover each of those areas, summarized or categorized by these keywords. Then those keywords will also appear in your this example. The title: Effects of using hygroscopic materials in gallery-based historical buildings on energy consumption or relaxed environmental control. Here we have a number of all words in the title are keywords. For instance, here, hygroscopic material. This is a material being investigated. Which aspects being investigated? Their effect. What effect? Effect on energy consumption and energy consumption under relaxed control strategy applied in what kind of buildings? Gallery buildings, and not modern gallery buildings in historical buildings, old buildings. So you have all these keywords, and then you give a summary: moisture buffering, monitoring, modeling, energy saving, and so on. These can be some variations of those words appeared in title. But after this, in abstract, you organize those in sentences. A test room, which was set up as a gallery, right? Gallery appeared in title, gallery appeared in keywords, and so on. Then you set the moisture buffering and computer modeling and energy consumption, and so on. And you also summarize some outcomes. For example, in the title, you say you want to look at effect on energy consumption. Then you report energy saving because of relaxed and environment control. So therefore, you present some data outcome to respond the title, the words, the keywords in the title. And then you have a review matrix. The literature review is done to achieve, to clarify those objectives you set in introduction, methods you want to develop in the next chapter, and then you want to prepare some background for your reader to understand your findings. So therefore, that is a matrix you need to put here. The reason I put in this format is there are lines you can put in where you find something relevant to these titles, these items in reference one paper published in Building and Energy, and another reference published in Building and Environment, that are something relevant to objective 1, objective 2, and the method 2, and so on, right? So you can add rules after rules under those columns. Now let's talk about another very important one and often neglected. You spend more time and effort to design a better, effective figures. What do we mean by better? We mean you design a clear, very easy to read, and aesthetical, good-looking diagrams, figures, or tables. Here I give you some examples. Now, this is the design table. Remember, use as less lines as possible. Conventionally, we only have top lines, bottom lines, and lines separate a group of variables or group of information. And we don't repeat. If you have units appear again and again next to figures, then better move on the top. Make it easy, make it clean, make it less. All right, easy to read. So here, watt per square meter per K, you better move on the top line, top row. So therefore, all U value are in the inside the table. You only have figures, and the same U value put it on the top line. Just like the table 3 shows, you have the phrase describe the variable what is it, and units following it, and then all the figures you put it in the main table. So that is convention. Remember this to make your dissertation professional. Diagrams. Make it easy to read. Make best use of space. For example, here legend is underneath the horizontal axis. And the next one on right, actually insert the legend inside the diagram, the void space. So therefore, you can magnify the chart to make best use of space. And you just use this kind of, void, make the best this space. Don't duplicate. Concise. You don't repeat anything you have said. It's not, dissertation is not a communication. It's not a speech. By speech, when you finish one sentence and it's gone. So right, last one, but not least, appendix. Appendix is a place you present there something important, but not as important as those you put in main contents. Here, typical one is the raw materials or the raw collection of data from survey, or very often you will see those qualitative studies, the dialogues, scripts between you and the interviewees. So these things if you think are very crucial, and the people, when they finish reading your dissertation, might be interested to look at the raw material, and you provide them there. I have to admit, this is a very difficult decision, what to put here, what not to put here, right? Anyhow, finishing, get a proofreading, uh, grammar checking as well as technical phrase. So therefore, ideally, is to find a native speaker or same colleagues, right? They know the same discipline, they have same background, and they particularly know the same phrases, those terminologies, right? So that would be best. Obviously, that can be quite the luxury, quite the unachievable target, but just try your best. And print binding. When you use Word print from different printer, they can come out surprisingly different from what you look at in your own PC from which you prepare this dissertation. So therefore, make sure you print them properly. Check the pages for the beginning of each chapter. Make sure they are consistent with your content page. And obviously, this part can go on and on because there are subtitles, there are tables, there are figures. They all have page numbers in your content pages. So therefore, this is a time-consuming business. And then prepare your Viva. That would be another topic. Okay, good luck. Bye-bye.